So, in last week's episode, we were introduced to me, Batman McGrath. And in this week's episode, we will be going through the perspective of a friend of mine. And, yeah. So, I hope you enjoy this week's episode. Batman McGrath, Episode 2 The Forgotten. My name is Detective Frank Flatt of the Portland PD. Being a cop in this city used to not be that bad. Yeah, we had murders and shootings and all the same shit that other cities had, but all in all, it was normal. But then we got a Green Lantern, and our city then just suddenly went to shit. It's not that bad when she's around, but most of the time she's not. Most of the time she's off in some other galaxy fighting only God knows what. But then the brass had this fucking brilliant idea. Let's get a Batman. Yeah, 'cause Gotham's so much better, right? So the way that idea came around was Batman died, or some shit, I don't know. He wasn't around, and Gotham needed a Batman. So Gotham PD ended up making their own Batman, because God forbid they come up with something new. But it turns out it didn't go down too well in Gotham, because it didn't need a new Batman. It needed its Batman. But the higher-ups here were thinking, we don't have a Batman at all, so it should work out fine. So the plan was they would take some fresh-faced newbie straight out of the academy and then train them to become Portland's own Batman. They had a guy to get them in shape, they had a guy to teach them all about science, and they had a gadget guy, and then there was me, the guy to teach them to become a detective. And as the brass and these teachers were sitting around discussing how this would all play out, there was one question I had running through my head. Who would train these Batmen to be a hero? I finally stopped everyone's discussion and asked, who was going to prepare them for being a hero? And to my surprise, none of them even thought about it. I told them I knew a guy from my army days that lived in Gotham when Batman first showed up. Someone who actually met Batman and had a run-in with one of Batman's villains and survived. I had piqued their interest, but I also left out how it fucked him up and that he most likely wouldn't even do it. But they insisted that I try and talk to him. It had been years since I saw him at the funeral, since he disappeared off the face of the planet. But while to everyone else he had vanished in thin air, I had some contacts that told me about a man fitting his description, rampaging across the world and getting into massive drunken bar fights, fighting wars by himself, saving people, and leaving before anyone could even ask him what his name was. The reports about this person stopped coming in a couple years back, but it's okay, 'cause last year I saw him here in Portland. Sure, his hair was long and ragged with a long knotted up beard, and it looked like he hadn't showered since the funeral, but I saw it in his eyes. It was Antonio Hernandez. I had left him alone till now. Truthfully, I didn't know what to expect from him. There was this old run-down biker bar on the city limits where he had been staying. I don't exactly know why he was staying there or even how he was paying to stay there, but I knew he was there. First thing that hits me when I walk in is the smell. It was piss and beer mixed with vomit and blood. Looked around and it's exactly what you would expect from a run-down biker bar like this. There was a couple of bikers playing pool, drinking and smoking, some old drunken vagrants passed out around the bar and tables, and some worn-out hags with too much makeup on trying to get laid or trying to make money doing it. And in a dark corner of this place was him. While I couldn't see his face, I could tell it was him. The aura this corner let out, anyone could tell. I sat down opposite side of him, and he was just sitting there with a half-smoked cigarette in one hand and a beer in the other, just staring at the beer. He looked up, and to my surprise, he let up this big smile. "As I live and breathe, is that you, Sarge?" he yelled out as loud as he could. "Oh, man, I haven't seen you since... He looked like he just blacked out for a second and then snapped right back. I'm sorry, my brain don't work right no more. So what brings a sassy lass like you down to a shithole like this? The bartender, this fat old bearded man, bellows from behind the bar. If it's such a shithole, why don't you leave? Antonio just laughs. I'm the only thing bringing any class to this joint. Well, except Ethel over there. He points over to this old lady that could have been my grandmother, dressed as slutty as ever, smoking a cigarette with messed up makeup, and she smiles back at him. I think she's looking at you, Flat. Oh, but honestly now, the fuck do you want? So I tell him the plan and what's going on, and his response wasn't exactly as I expected, which was a beer bottle to the face. How fucking dare you ask me to create another one of those fucking bats? Get the fuck out of here! He storms off, and I try and follow him, but the bikers playing pool block my way. I look up at them, and they look down on me, and I nod that I get the message. I went and took a seat at the bar, and I ordered a beer. While pouring the beer, the bartender stares at me. Hell, I could feel the stares of everyone around me. He brings me the beer and sets it down. So how do you know him? The bartender asked. I take a drink, and I pause for a minute, and then I tell him the story of how I met Antonio Hernandez. We were in the Army together. I was a CO, and he was in my squad. Long story short, he caught some of the other soldiers raping a little girl while also beating the shit out of her dad, and Antonio shot them in the head for doing it. He took the man and his daughter back to the base and demanded they let him into the country and become citizens, and that America owed it to them for what those soldiers did. And the admiral that was there agreed for the most part. Don't know if it was because it was the right thing to do or if it was because he just wanted it gone. But he agreed either way. Antonio was honorably discharged, and my tour was up anyway, so I came back with him. He went to Gotham to be back with his wife and kids, and I went to go be with my family. As I told the story, I noticed that everyone around the bar started crowding around me, listening like a bunch of kids during story time, hanging on every word. The bartender asked what happened to his wife and kids. I paused for a minute, thinking about the question that was just asked. Gotham is what happened, I replied. They looked at each other, puzzled, and then I started to tell them what happened. As I was telling them about his past, some of them even started to tear up, even a couple of the bikers. As I saw them all fill up with emotion, I realized these people actually cared about him. These people that society had left behind and forgotten, all of them coming together to cry and weep over his tragic backstory. I then explained why I was there and what Portland PD was planning to do. Well, that's just fucking retarded, one of the bikers said. Don't we have a Green Lantern or something? One of the drunks blurted out. How the hell is he supposed to teach someone how to become a hero? Looks like he wasn't a hero, or at least he didn't become one. So why would you want him to teach them how? The bartender asked. I chuckle a little bit, and then I respond. I don't think they understand what it is they're asking these people to do. And Antonio does. They all sit there for a minute pondering what it was that I just said. I'll do it, I hear from one of the bikers, and then suddenly all of us turn and look behind him, and we see Antonio standing there. But if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it my way. I don't want you, or the commissioner, or any other cop getting in my damn way, he demanded. I smile and nod, and I say, I understand, Antonio. We'll work this all out. He immediately slaps me across the face. Stop calling me that! Antonio was murdered alongside his family at the hand of that bald, scarred-up fucking freak! I rub my cheek and smile, then slap him back. Fine, but fucking stop hitting me or I'm gonna kick your ass like we were back in Iraq. He rubs his cheek and laughs, and then smacks me back. Now you're playing the game. We both chuckle a little, and I ask him, what do you want us to call you then? The bartender answers for him. We've been calling him McGrath because of an old shirt he was wearing when he first came in. The name tag on it said McGrath. Antonio nodded and agreed. Yeah, just call me McGrath. That's fine. I smile and nod, tip my drink to him, and then I tell him, be here at this address next Monday at 8 a.m. so you can meet the newbies and get to know them. He took the piece of paper, and then he looks at me with this almost evil smile. Oh, I can't wait, he says. I should have realized right then and there this was going to go horribly, horribly wrong. Well, that's it for this week's episode. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and all that. And yeah, if you want to talk to me or anything, please follow me at batmanmcgrathep2 on Twitter. And yeah, please leave comments, let me know, and yada yada yada. Y'all have fun. Bye bye.